Hello, this is Unlimited Splash, where we get better at Magic together through a new draft video every weekday. And how could we get better together if I never turn the reins over to you? Today, back by popular demand, is one of my favorite series, Splash Champs, where a viewer tries to win a box and I'm not allowed to help. Why am I not allowed to help? Honestly, it's just my reading of the terms and conditions. I don't want to get anyone in trouble. So a viewer named John has already recorded this run, but I do not know how it turns out. I'm going to be watching it for the first time right along with you and giving my reactions and opinions on what happened. So without further ado, let's see John open his packs. All right, I really think in this set, I do think Rakdos, especially Jund, is out on top. Maybe a little bit of Grixis. And I think the Arkenstone is the card that you most want to open because it's a colorless card. So it can go in any deck. These rares are, there's some juice here. So Erode's Go on and on, I think is fine. It really helps you hit your land drops, which is important in sealed. Bilbo's Gambit, I don't think is anything, but Kíli is one of the top bombs in the format. That's an equipment card. And then Dane's Company is a dwarf card and another equipment card. Elrond Moon Reader, when you activate an ability of a creature, draw a card. Lord of the Eagles is almost certainly not going to be making the deck. And then I don't think that Thranduil is playable. So Elrond, it's interesting. Elrond is kind of like, when you activate an ability of a creature, draw a card. It kind of reminds me of like Loki and Ms. Marvel, these things that they were playing around with in the Marvel set. Activated abilities or targeting things, abilities targeting things, drawing you a card. Those were typically, they really ranged, in sealed, you really have to figure out if you have the cards that can support it. Okay, it looks like not many white cards is my immediate reaction. Okay, actually, no. We just got a lot of Dwarven Short Swords and multiple Oris. Okay, so, there might be some equipment juice here. We'll have to see what equipment go along with that. I'm liking the triple Plunder the Trollshaws. Let's see. In black, we are looking at not that much. I think we probably would like to lean red-white because we got two equipment-themed rares. But I'm not seeing a ton of... Well, actually, the double Goblin Plate Mail and triple Dwarven Short Sword. That's immediately where my mind goes. Let's see what John starts putting together. So the rares overall were maybe not, what you're usually hoping for, but I saw Celebrate the Mountain King and the Mountain King's Return in white. We have a Long Lake Nuisance. Okay, a lot of 2 drops in black, as well as it looks like some pretty good removal and Golem Silent Stinker. Bothersome Noisemaker and double Gandalf Sparkstarter is a fantastic collection of cards, of red cards. Then we have Biffer. I noticed also the Recruiter 2/2 for 3 that recruits Thor's Map, and it actually looks like pretty good dual lands. So if we don't get the absolute streamlined red-white aggro, which it looks like we kind of have a lack of white creatures maybe, then maybe we can get a little splashy with it, or maybe there's an Orzhov deck in here actually, if we want to pair those really good black 2-drops with the white card power. We are really rooting for John here because unfortunately on Splash Champs so far, our record is out of 5 runs, 0 boxes were won. 1 person landed in gems, but nobody has yet won a box on the series, unfortunately. On that note, it is a ground rule of Splash Champs that if you comment, make sure that you are being respectful of the Splash Champ. When we have a guest on the channel, we are always respectful of them. So before you leave a comment, just ask if you're commenting on the play or commenting on the player. If you're commenting on the player, it's probably out of bounds. Okay, I actually quite like, I think Ragged Short Sphere has been pretty solid in the format. Also good in an equipment theme deck. And we had Owing the Brave, so actually we have good red 2-drops. And then I also really like Dory, Bearer of Friends. It's a little bit unfortunate how many good green and blue cards we got. Well, we didn't get a lot of good green cards. It's even worse. We got a bunch of bad green cards. Thranduil, Cinderant, we actually have 2 different Thranduils that we wasted slots on, but I'm really just wanting to try building around that Kíli. So that's exactly what John is going for. If you want to be on an episode of Splash Champs, it helps to be a channel member. One of the channel member perks is getting early access to the Discord, and a huge thank you to our channel members whose names are right there. However, it is not necessary, okay? And actually, we do have spot for 1 more Splash Champs. So if you want to be on Splash Champs in the next few days, make sure to add me on Discord. Send me a DM and let me know that you're interested. We actually do still have space. You do not have to be a channel member. Okay, so it looks like John is gravitating towards the red-white equipment stack while he builds that. I'm actually going to let him introduce you to himself in his own words.
All right, everybody. Hello, hello. My name is Jonathan, or you can call me Arrows. I have been drafting for about the last, I would say like 2 years maybe-ish. Before that, I played a lot of Standard, but like when I say that I played Standard, I pretty much played online only, and I would climb ranked ladder like 2 gold and then stop. So definitely just now kind of starting to get into my more strategy, competitive focus Magic playing. Played some Commander as like tabletop TCG, but not really following the real rules until like the last 3 years. So I would consider myself pretty knowledgeable considering how new I am to the hobby, but I also am no stranger to a good old-fashioned punt. I punt often, especially under pressure, so these sealeds have not gone well for me. I have probably tried 8 Arena Directs over the course of my career, just off free currency, and I have either punted a good pool or failed to find the line with a more challenging pool, I think, every single time. Closest I've ever gotten was 5 wins, and that was with probably the best pool you could get, and I just punted. So my main goal for this is really not to get the box. I would love to get the box, but my real hope for this pool is to just play a better game.
So huge kudos to John. I absolutely love that goal, the idea of just playing a better game. I think that is absolutely the best goal that you can have, especially in these win-a-box events, where I don't think that the goal should be trying to win a box every time. Okay, so I'm going to skip a little bit ahead, and let's see where John ends up with this red-white build. Okay, so in terms of red-white, this is where he landed. It looks like he had to put in a little bit of filler, like maybe the Giant's Boulder is there to turn on the storied mechanic. Then we have, in terms of really strong power, there's a Kíli the Resourceful, Bothersome Noisemaker, I guess Dane's Company. I'm not sure exactly how strong that is. Gandalf Sparkstarter is absolutely phenomenal. Mountain King's Return is really good. And Celebrate the Mountain King. So we do have a lot of individual card power, but then there is also a lot of filler, like Dwarven Provisioner, Ori, Keeper of Songs. This strikes me as not a fast enough deck to carry the weight of all that kind of extra bulk. Like a 3/3 for 3, like Ori, Keeper of Songs. I can't highlight it in Arena, so let me put that up here. It's not going to kill your opponent so quickly that it doesn't matter how bad it is. Now, I do notice that he left on the sideboard 2 of these guys, 2 Goblin Town flunkies. I can see why. I think it hasn't been performing great, and you need a really aggressive deck to make it work. But it does mean that I think we could get one step faster if we wanted to. The only thing is, like, Dwarven Short Sword, how much does that one even cost to equip? I know that the Goblin Plate Mail costs an entire 4 mana to equip. This one costs 2, so, and it only gives an extra +1 power, which is actually why I don't like it so much. So it's not like you can even suit up your Goblin Town flunkies. So, okay, I totally get it, and let's see what else John goes for. So he pretty quickly junked the red-white deck, at least for now, and is looking at some of that black, which I was also tempted by. I do think All in the Abandoned can be pretty solid, just like that extra 2 life can give you a little bit of extra reach damage. I faced this in one of my events, yesterday's event, that just like the opponent had the ability to potentially cycle golems, like you sack one golem to the other golem. To be clear, that's this golem that I'm talking about. And you can just get a loop where you're just draining the opponent for arbitrarily much life, but pretty slowly. So we're looking at a black-red deck now, which I think makes a ton of sense. So it's interesting to me that he is leaving the Golem the Abandoned on the sideboard. We're running like a Giant's Boulder instead of some of those cheap creatures, maybe. I would think that a deck like this wants to be really aggressive, but he has a very healthy top end. I think I do like this more than the red-white deck. I mean, you know, I would really love to have that Feely under our belt. Okay, we're just junking it. But Bilbo's Deadly Slice, Gnashing of Teeth, and the Stir Up Trouble, right? We had 3 removal spells, but in white we actually had Celebrate the Mountain King, so it's not like there was no removal being contributed by white. I mean, here's the thing, like, Kíli the Resourceful, it's a phenomenal card, right? But the thing is, you do need to be able to turn on story, right? Or you need to have really good dwarf or equipment follow on. You need to be consistently casting dwarfs or equipments. That's really the more important part. And so if you don't have enough density of dwarves or equipments, especially that you can double spell right after playing Kíli to make sure that you get your card back, then it really could just be a 1/2 for 2. So in sealed, it's like very possible that you get stuck in a place where this card is not so great. And yeah, maybe our white just wasn't good enough. I mean, we had like 5+ equipments. I'm not sure exactly how many dwarves. Maybe the dwarf count wasn't really there. And other than that, I do think that the white was dragging us down. But yeah, the best white is good. Mountain King's return, celebrate the Mountain King, Kíli. So now John is looking maybe more in the Mardu space and thinking about whether the best combination of these 3 colors is going to be better than any pair of them. Let's see what he cooks up. All right, so we're ending up somewhere around here, it looks like. We're stabilizing on this kind of Mardu build. So we're actually pretty evenly split between 3 colors. So we do have the 3 dual lands across Mardu, but we're looking at 4 plains, 4 mountains, and 6 swamps. I am a little worried about the mana, to be honest. I mean, I see 2 double pips in the 3-drop slot of the Bilbo's Deadly Slice and the Gnashing of Teeth, then way higher up on the mana curve, but we have Gandalf Sparkstarter and Smaug the Great Calamity. And I'm not so sure. So I guess Ori Keeper of Songs is probably in there for... Okay, well, we just cut one. I was going to say I don't love that inclusion. It's probably in there for story purposes and dwarf purposes. But I think it's like... Yeah, the deck is not going to do like the dwarf and equipments thing super consistently, right? We're also not playing the dwarven short swords now, which I agree with, to be clear. So, you know, I'm not sure that we're going to get the full juice out of Kíli the Resourceful and Dane's Company, our 2 best cards. By the way, I forgot to mention Dane's Company is another like very, very strong bomb that we have if we can support it with dwarves. It looks like we do have, I don't know, maybe like half a dozen plus dwarves. My question, honestly, is what is black adding to this at this point? Down to Goblin Town is sweet, but Ravening Warg, if it doesn't come down on 2, is less strong. Then we have the hard to cast double black pip cards, and our mana base is slanted so far in, or a little bit farther in favor of black. So Dane's Company might be a little bit harder to cast. So I mean, I would want to get in Gandalf Sparkstarter, the second one, and maybe some Gollum the Abandons, and maybe you're just splashing Kíli the Resourceful and Celebrate the Mountain King or something like that. Cards like Dwarven Provision or Ori Keeper of Songs, I think they're probably making the mana worse without adding that much value. But hey, I've been wrong before, and I will say, huge commendation to John. This was a 37-minute deck build, so he really thought about this really deeply, which I majorly respect and recommend for anyone who's having trouble in these events. So now I'm going to let John tell you about the final build.
I do actually think this might be the best deck that I can assemble out of this pool. I am a little unsure just because I'm going 3-color. I've seen 3-color work for sure, and the data shows that like if you're playing for good cards, then as long as you do a minor splash, I mean we are in limited splash, but as long as we're doing a minor splash, it should be sensible enough. Got a lot of good fixing lands. I wish I had a Hobbit hole, but I'm not too pressed about it. The real reason why I wanted to go the Mardu was I just saw how bad the 2-color removal suites were. I think there's an argument to be made for the other 2 decks. I do think the most consistent deck probably would have been going full dwarf, but there are a couple of the big dwarf payoffs that we're just missing. And then the only removal in the deck are basically Celebrate the Mountain King. And then as far as the black-red deck, I might even pivot to that if it seems like this deck is too dirtily, just because the black-red deck, when I was looking at it, didn't look bad at all. I just felt that I was losing out on some of the good rares. Like I think Kíli has to be like A tier if not higher. It just draws so many cards if they don't have an early removal spell. And so like the worst case scenario, you drop Kíli and he gets shot, and then you're just like okay, and then you go and play other good cards. So that's kind of my logic for going Mardu. Take advantage of the good dwarf rares, take advantage of some of these Ravening Wargs. I think these are all premium cards here in my 2-drop slot. Even Bothersome Noisemaker I can see being really good.
All right, so I do think that that makes a ton of sense. And we're going to watch John now transition into actually playing his games. But I'll just comment a little bit. Like, I do think that that makes a ton of sense. But my one like worry that's sticking in the back of my mind is anytime you have a 6-4-4 mana base, the 3 dual lands make it better. But being so evenly spread across colors does make me concerned about the possibility of mana screw. So I really prefer, let's see, in his main color, what is his main color? We're kind of evenly spread across maybe black and red, and then white is a little bit secondary. In both of those main colors, I want to be seeing at least 7 pips or 7 ways of making those pips. But especially, you know, in the main colors, you really want to see 9+ pips ideally. And then we had a lot of kind of double pipped cards. Also, sorry if there's a little choppiness right here at the beginning. It really does smooth out. I think sometimes the Arena client just gets choppy like at the start of your games. This happens to me, like the first few plays of the first game will be choppy, and then it kind of understands how to be Arena again. But okay, all right, so we got Kíli in our opening hand. We have a Mountain King's Return, so we're running out the Kíli probably because Mountain King's Return can bring back the Kíli if it dies. And if it doesn't die, then we just get to go absolutely off, right? So the moment that we play a Dwarf, we are going to get to draw off of our Kíli unless they have a removal spell to play in response with the Dwarf on the stack. And yeah, I would just be running out Ori here because it's the most mana efficient thing to do. I don't really, John is thinking, but I don't, okay, I guess the other option would be Mountain King's Return, but I definitely want to just get the card back for Kíli immediately. Can we attack? I mean, it opens us up to Magnificent End or whatever okay, they don't have it. Yeah, the thing that you have to be thinking about there, which I do think that that John was pondering, is whether they could have Magnificent End. If they have that, then tapping your Kíli opens you up to them being able to play that, and then maybe also they can, yeah, they could play that and they wouldn't be able to shoot it otherwise, but John showed us that that's not a concern. I mean, and I definitely would be attacking here. Like, they could also just have Pinecone Strike or whatever. All right, down comes a Gundabad Opportunist, which is perfectly fine, I would say. We are now a little bit choked on lands, but we could, so here I would almost certainly just, okay, so it's interesting. Yeah, so exactly. You can run out a Dwarf to see if you can draw your land for the turn, which we did. So that's absolutely magnificent. If you didn't have the Kíli out, you would probably have to play the Mountain King's Return so that you get to on 1 recruit, and then you can see if you can draw your land off of that. But here, it's just strictly better to draw a card than draw and discard, right? So making sure that we use our Kíli every turn is going to be an important part of our path to victory. Then we could run out, I would not be running out the Bothersome Noisemaker here. I guess maybe we're thinking about like 1 line, which is the greediest possible line, is to play Bothersome. Okay, all right, Bothersome Noisemaker and then Stir Up Trouble. Get your Amass out of it and just 2 for 1. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that it was. It's the most investment in the board state, let's say. I did not expect John to do it, and he decided not to, which was why I said it was the greediest possible one. But no disrespect to my fellow greed heads who would choose that line. I mean, I personally love using all of my removal for tiny bits of incremental value and then losing. Okay, so now we have, so Celebrate the Mountain King is phenomenal. Actually, our removal just got a little bit more replaceable. Let's see. So we could play Dwarven Provisioner and draw. I mean, honestly, that's what I would be on, is Dwarven Provisioner, draw a card, because I just want to milk that Kíli for all it's worth, right? So Dwarven Provisioner, draw. We actually now have 2 different ways of bringing back the Kíli. And by the way, that actually is a reason to sack something to Stir Up Trouble, because Mountain King's Return can bring it back and Gathering of Darkness can bring it back. However, we don't need to try to have our creatures die in this spot. There are going to be plenty of ways to make trades. We are having trouble with number of lands, but we're not having trouble with colors yet. So that's, you know, point number 1 for John's mana base. I will say we have not yet hit Enduring Story. So that's another thing that John was definitely worried about in the red-white deck, was like, can I consistently hit Enduring Story? And so far we have some evidence that, yeah, maybe that's a little bit difficult. Okay, the opponent has Iron Hills Blacksmith, so that's going to be a big chunky double striker. Very happy to hit our 5th land drop here. We can actually just natural cast Stir Up Trouble at this point. Totally agree with just going for the Mountain King's Return. We could actually, can we just pitch a Biffer here and then bring it back with Gathering of Darkness? That's what I'm inclined to do. You would really want to have something in the bin on 2. So we should either attack and try to trade something off to get something in the bin for the Mountain King's Return, right? Otherwise, we are not going to be able to make use of its second mode, return a creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. If we don't manage to trade in combat, if the opponent just takes it, then second main phase, we can sack something to stir up trouble. And I'm all for using the stir up trouble here because it's just so much value. Stir up trouble would give you an army off of Bothersome Noisemaker and you get your card back. And I believe, do we also get to draw a card off of Kíli? It's when a dwarf enters, not when you cast a dwarf, correct? When a dwarf enters. So actually, if we can sack a dwarf here, we're going to get another Kíli trigger, which we still need a land to get off of what's in our hand, because we have to be able to play the Biffer. Yeah, I would probably be shooting Bomber. Maybe you shoot the Iron Hills Blacksmith, but I don't think so. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I would have sacked a dwarf. I would have sacked a dwarf to get use out of the Mountain King's Return. I also would have gone to combat first to give the opponent an opportunity to probably to give them an opportunity to take damage instead of trading, I guess, because the Mountain King's Return is face up, which maybe they still have, so maybe my logic is not airtight. But I think attacking first when they don't know that you can just sack the creature kind of makes sense. But yeah, they probably would have just taken it. But with that information, wouldn't we want to have sacked the dwarf so that we can get the dwarf back and draw a card? Because we currently don't, unless I'm missing that we have something in our graveyard. I think we currently don't have anything in the graveyard. Mountain King's Return is going to whiff. Yeah. Yeah, so I would have wanted to sack the dwarf. I would have sacked probably Dwarven Mauler or Dwarven Provisioner there. But okay. So here, let's see. Okay, so Goblin Plate Mail is actually a really nice draw because it will let us draw a card off of Kíli. And we can pitch a creature. Well, maybe, yeah, at this point, I probably do actually pitch. Maybe I pitch the Goblin Plate Mail. Yeah, I think I agree with that. Because Gathering of Darkness is going to be value no matter what. Like, we're going to get a creature in the bin no matter what. I definitely agree with not pitching the land. Because getting to just natural play Biffer next turn is going to be super strong. The one thing about the Goblin Plate Mail that made it stronger is you do have an Enduring Story. So you would be able to equip it for 0 and make something +1/+1 menace. But that's probably a minor thing. Also, Biffer is... When Biffer lands, Kíli should see it, right? And Kíli is a dwarf. So that means that you actually are going to get to draw 2 when you play Biffer, right? I haven't seen this interaction yet, but it seems to me that that's how that should work. It's going to trigger an additional time. Oh, what just happened? Oh, that's the easy pickings or whatever. Deal 1 damage to everything. So they killed a few creatures. Well, we have a Gathering of Darkness. All right, so just beefing up our Kíli. I like that idea. So do we get to draw 2 off of Biffer? The triggered ability triggers an additional time. Yeah, and then it's going to double that trigger, then the other trigger. I'm just waiting to see if it doubles. It doesn't? Aw, really? Why doesn't that work? When it enters, draw a card. Oh, this ability triggers only once each turn on Kíli. Yeah, I get it. Okay. It cannot trigger an additional time. It's not like copy a trigger that's on the stack. It's trigger an additional time. Are they going to get rid of the Kíli, or at this point? Yeah. So the opponent is scared of the Biffer because they're almost dead, which is a great sign for us because it means that we just get to keep going off with Kíli. I also really like that Alpha Strike. I was obsessing over the minutiae of the Kíli Biffer interaction, but that was a nice moment of picking our attack, and I think we can almost push lethal here, right? So we can Gnashing of Teeth. With the Gnashing, we can, let's see, we can kill either one of their creatures. Like they hit the 3/2, attack with the team. There's no reason to keep anyone out of combat here. And then buff, and it actually is straight up lethal. Nice find, John. Yeah, because we had that extra land. Awesome. Sweet. Awesome game 1. Yeah, very smooth, very smooth. All right, we're 1-0. Reminding ourselves of what the rewards look like. And on to the next one. He also did a little bit of deck tech in between. I do also find that extremely useful to just pause in between games, go and look at your deck and just see if there are any tweaks that you want to make. All right, natural, all 3 colors. Awesome. So down goes Dwarven Mauler. Personally, I would probably be running out the Goblin Plate Mail second just because I'm a scaredy cat. But if they represent like, okay, actually green, yeah, maybe you just throw out the Noisemaker then. The thing is, half of everybody is playing Rakdos, so I try to hold my bombs a little bit. But if you're not playing Rakdos, it does reduce the amount of removal that you're likely to have. I will say this is an example of what I was concerned about, though, right? The Bilbo's Deadly Slice is currently stuck in our hand. Not that we want to spend it yet, but it is currently stuck in our hand. Because of the mana. Now, interesting decision. Oh, we're offering the Noisemaker trade? Is there something I'm missing here? Why did the opponent not block that? I would not have offered that Noisemaker trade. I mean, Bothersome Noisemaker is bonkers. So I would not have offered the trade with the Noisemaker, but then if I were the opponent, I would absolutely have taken it. So both players have a different evaluation from me. Oh, maybe I'm wrong about something. That's where learning comes from. Interesting decision, I was saying, to play the Plate Mail a little bit behind curve. Oh, maybe the opponent's hand is like full of bite spells or something, and so that's why they don't want to lose their creature. It actually tells us a lot about where the way the opponent is at, maybe. Yeah, so I was going to say, like, interesting decision to play a little behind curve by playing the Plate Mail, but I think it makes a ton of sense because of the synergies here. Like, the Bothersome Noisemaker got an advantage out of it, which it wouldn't have gotten out of Ori. And then also, yeah, we got to equip it onto the Dwarven Mauler for a discount. So the opponent is much, much lower. Golem the Abandoned is terrible when you're behind. So, hey, maybe that's another point for not playing Golem the Abandoned. Bilbo's Deadly Slice still stuck in our hand. But I think, can we just attack with everything? Maybe we want to hold back the Noisemaker. But because Golem the Abandoned cannot block and Dwarven Provisioner can buff itself, I guess we'd just be trading 2 for 2. So, maybe it's not super good. Maybe I would just be on attack with Dwarven Mauler. No, I mean, that's fair because we're ahead. I think, you know, we're winning the race if we keep pushing. Everyone here thinks Bothersome Noisemaker is so much worse than I think it is. That's what I'm learning from this game. Like, I would be so much more precious about my Noisemaker. If I were the opponent, I would be greedily trying to take it down. Yeah, this is much closer to the attack I would make. Now, this buff is just pure aggression from John. That's spending 4 mana to get 1 damage down rather than playing the Ori. I personally would be playing the Ori. Note that that did not help us avoid a trade because both of the opponent's creatures had Death Touch, and now we're looking at that Bjorn the Fierce, and our mana base is biting us because we're looking at a Bilbo's Deadly Slice in our hand. So, yeah, I mean, I don't want to, you know, rub it in or anything. But I do think that 6/4/4 mana base is to be avoided. When you're playing more than, let's say, 1 or 2 of a basic, it's more than a splash. And we also saw a previous splash champ do this, have a mana base that was more evenly split, like a 5/4/4 mana base and some dual lands. I think I should do an entire video about this because I think, you know, I'm unlimited splash. I don't want to give the wrong impression about splashing. Okay, we do manage, though, to get them down to 1 HP, and maybe that Menace is just going to get the job done, even though our opponent played a top bomb in the format that I didn't even comment on because I was too busy talking about splashing in the Bjorn the Fierce, which is an absolutely phenomenal card, absolutely bonkers. Now, again, maybe not so amazing when you're behind, but I did manage to win a box with it yesterday. The thing about this card is it just draws you cards by virtue of just having a reasonable number of creatures. But let's see if we can get... It looks like they don't have another creature, so if we can get a swamp. Oh, not quite. So the swamp actually, yeah, so kill one of their blockers, double block. John is just double checking, but he does have lethal on the board because we can shoot Bjorn the Fierce, attack with both creatures. They have to double block the Dwarven Mauler or block the 3/3, whichever one they are not able to block with their 2 blockers is going to kill them. So John is very sensibly just taking a moment to make sure that everything is exactly as he thinks it is. Maybe he's taking a moment to think about, is there a instant speed black spell in the format that that can screw with our plan here, but there isn't. We just have a win on board. All right, so down comes the Bilbo's Deadly Slice, shooting the Bjorn. Attack with both. And it's gravy. Goodbye, opponent. Wow, a quick, clean 2-0. So the mana issue did not actually hurt us because we drew the swamp in perfect time. So awesome work by John. We're currently 2-0. One more win, and John is taking home some gems. So we're 2-0. Let's hope for a good match 3. I really want to get this. I really want to get this boxes 1 counter up to 1 out of 6. Come on, 1 out of 6. I know the community can win 1 out of 6 win a box events, right? Naturally, all 3 colors. Oh, not quite naturally. One of them's a dual land. So, and then we also have the throwers map. So our mana is looking quite good here because we can just fetch that second swamp needed for Bilbo's Deadly Slice. Not the most assertive hand. And also the Mountain King's Return is going to need to find a creature in order to be useful. So we kind of have a creature because Goblin Plate Mail is essentially a creature. But not a creature in the way that the Mountain King's Return cares about. John mentioned there was something strange that happened with this, like, the screen, like, ratio shifted, but I believe it shifts back afterwards. Okay. So then we actually drew Dane's Company, which is fantastic. Now we have to make sure to play the right land, which John has prepped the correct basic to not get it wrong here. But I do think that throwing the Dane's Company down, there's a big advantage to that, which is, so first of all, it has a fantastic enters ability. And I'll put it up right here. It has a fantastic enters ability. When it enters you to the top 4, you can get a dwarf or an equipment. We are holding one of our equipments, but none of our dwarves. So I think we still have a reasonable chance of fetching something with that. And then if it dies, we get to bring it back with the second ability of Mountain King's Return. So it's an interesting question. It's an interesting question whether you throw down the Goblin Plate Mail or the Dane's Company here. I think I would just throw out the Dane's Company because... Oh, interesting. John went for a whole third option. Wow, I love Splash Champs because people just play differently for me, and there's so much opportunity for learning there. So I think I would have just thrown down the Dane's Company because it's so much value. Like, I get the Ender's Trigger, probably it gets removed, then I get to Mountain King's Return it, and then I get the Ender's Trigger again, and maybe now I've netted like 2 entire cards off of that whole situation. You know, if the Dane's Company dies, that is. But okay, so now the opponent has an interesting decision. Wow, I would hate to be Cole right about now with the opponent's name. Sorry to any viewers named Cole for the disrespect being paid to you. All right, let's see what the opponent fetches here or takes out of John's hand. If I'm the opponent, I'm probably taking Mountain King's Return. Unless, look, if you have something really good to protect, you could take Bilbo's Deadly Slice or Gnashing of Teeth, right? But you can't take both of them. So you're not going to be able to protect your bomb. So probably you don't take the removal. No way am I taking Goblin Plate Mail. And if you take the Dane's Company, then Mountain King's Return is just going to bring it back. So that's the logic that I use to land at I would take the Mountain King's Return. And the opponent did the same thing. I think they were correct to do that. Now I probably would just be running out Dane's Company. Like, the whole point of this thing is you don't really care if it dies because it hopefully already replaced itself. There we go. Fetching a Kíli. That's awesome. Oh, man. Just laddering these A-level bombs into each other. Now, with Kíli, we can immediately draw a card. So we play the Kíli. Oh, this is just going awesome. We play the Kíli. And Kíli is going to immediately give our Dane's Company lifelink. We play a Goblin Plate Mail. We draw a card. We can put the Goblin Plate Mail onto Dane's Company. Okay, well, now they have so many blockers. We don't want to do this line. But we could have, like, re-equipped the Goblin Plate Mail and then gotten some lifelink menace attacking in. I mean, maybe we still do just want to do that because trading 2 for 1 is so good. Probably not, though. Okay, so, yeah, I would be on playing Kíli. Oh, okay, yeah. I thought for a second that we tapped wrong, but no. We can play this, then play a Goblin Plate Mail, draw a card, and then re-equip the Goblin Plate Mail. Kíli is so strong. Oh, bothersome Noisemaker. And by the way, down to Goblin Town is such a good draw. Okay, so slap that onto Dane's Company. Okay, so we are going to attack. I mean, I don't hate it. Yeah, I mean, it's a... The only thing is, like, it's not a full 2 for 1 because you're just killing an army. But they're not going to get to amass again. Down to Goblin Town. Mode 2 is amass. Down to Goblin Town. Mode 2 is amass, but then modes 3 and 4 are both drain 1 life. So hopefully the opponent is just a straight up Rakdos aggro deck, I mean. And this is the moment in the game when they start to run a little bit out of gas. But we have it down to Goblin Town to help them run out of gas. So I would be going Bothersome Noisemaker into down to Goblin Town, one of the grossest double spells that you can do on turn 5 in the format using uncommons. And then we just get to pretty much catch up on the board. Now we're holding back their 2-1 with an army. Oh, what is that in their hand? Holy smokes. Oh, and without even needing to think about it, John takes the that big giant. So I completely agree with that. I think the Gandalf, they can't play it yet. They need to find 2 more lands to play the Gandalf. Really? I would just be taking the... Interesting. I don't know. Bothersome Noisemaker is so good. But okay. I don't know. Maybe one thing I'm learning is that I overrate Bothersome Noisemaker. But now we would have a 3/3 army and a Death Toucher. Or sorry, a 4/3 army. But okay, we're getting some attacks in, and the Ravening Warg is going to start gaining our HP back. So I think we have to be feeling very good about this game. We have 2 face-up spot removal spells. We get to drain them another 2, so our life total is not bad at all. We can just equip... Yep, we can just equip the Warg and go in for 7 menace and gain 2 life. No, this is looking fantastic. Really looking like it's John's game to lose at this point. So if the opponent gets a Gandalf Sparkstarter, so if they get a land, an untapped land, they can play the Gandalf Sparkstarter, probably shoot, well, it's probably the higher power creature. Because either one, if you double block it, is going to kill you, especially after John can clearly just suit up. You have to kill the higher power creature. You just have to. So John can just re-equip and attack with the Death Toucher with a 4-power Menace Death Toucher. But the other thing he can do, and this is probably what I would do, is just shoot Gandalf and then attack unblockably. Ability on the stack, John says, I'm going to loot. You cannot resolve that damage until I have seen the top card of my library. Thank you very much. I have an ability to put on the stack. All right, so pitching Ravening Warg, I 100% agree with. 100% agree with pitching the Ravening Warg here, because the spot removal, having 2 pieces of spot removal is just amazing insurance against whatever the opponent finds. So Gandalf shoots our army. Attacking makes sense because the opponent probably is very reluctant. I mean, they cannot even block because John could just kill Gandalf. I'm a chicken, so I think I would just kill the Gandalf here. The other thing you could do is Gathering of Darkness your Kíli and replay it. That would be pretty funny. That's just brutality itself. And you amass 3, so you have a blocker for the Gandalf, so you don't even care about the Gandalf. The thing is, the opponent attacking makes sense because they're not going to be able to block if John removes it. But the fact that they attacked means that John doesn't even have to spend the removal, right? So the opponent is kind of like you're cooked either way sort of a situation, right? But okay, now it seems very hard to lose. I guess there's the board wipe. 3 to everything would be like maybe the one way for the opponent to pull it back here. And they don't seem to have it. And I think we can just... I mean, I would probably just kill the Gandalf and attack with... I'd probably kill the Gandalf, move one of the equipments over to the army, and attack. Bilbo's Deadly Slice. Okay. We could in response Bilbo's Deadly Slice there. That's so funny. Now we can actually suit up both our creatures, and it looks like we've lethal. Oh no, I'm sorry. We don't get priority to do that again. This is already declare attackers. Okay. Yeah, so I would have wanted to spread the equipment out a little bit, but I don't think it's going to matter here. We actually can suit up both creatures, right? Because the first equip ability is going to cost 0, then the second one is going to cost 4. So we could actually just spend the rest of our mana to suit up Kíli. Yeah, that's exactly. I would be all over that as well. I think that's better than looting. Just turn both of your creatures into lethal. Okay, they pretty much have to flip a 2-drop or have one in their hand already. And yeah, I was going to say expecting a concession. So, all right. Awesome. Very good work by John. That was a fantastic demonstration of the deck's power level. And did some daily rewards. And we've landed in gems. This is the second time, my friends, that a Splash Champ is going to get some gems back for their efforts. So congratulations, John. This is already tied for the most successful Splash Champs run that we have seen. And let's see if we can't continue the streak and come home with a box. Oh my goodness, once again, natural all 3 basics. What, am I just wrong about splashing? No, I don't think so. Because Gnashing of Teeth, once again, is stuck in our hand. But, you know, maybe it'll get unstuck by the time that it matters. Okay, so opening with a... There you go, that's just the second swamp. All right, well, you know. What do I know? All right, down comes Dwarven Provisioner. Opponent is once again on Rakdos. Surprise, surprise. Welcome to the Hobbit. Down comes a Goblin Town Flunkies, and very nice, we get a Dane's Company. Yeah, I mean, seeing the Dane's Company, seeing the Kílis, and having our mana work is pretty much what the deck needs, I would say. Wow, ripping off a Dwarven Mauler. I will say, if we were a little bit more concentrated on colors, being able to use that one last mana, for example, if it had been another mountain and getting to play the Dwarven Mauler, that would have put us even further ahead. But okay, this is nitpicking. If they kill the Dane's Company, we have a Mountain King's Return for it. If they play a big bomb, we have a Gnashing of Teeth for it. That's kind of a bomb. Yeah, that's a bomb, right? I think that card's very good. But Kíli is a bomb, and so is Dane's Company. So just to remind us what Rovanion Rampager does, when it attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, put a number of +1/+1 counters on this creature equal to the sacrificed creature's power. And then when it dies, you amass Goblins X, where X is this creature's power. So John's bet here is the opponent does not want to be blocking us with anything because the Dwarven Provisioner has this start of activation, being able to just give both creatures +1/+1. So it would trade with a Rovanion Rampager either way. We actually aren't even priced into spending the mana. And wow, the opponent... Why did they do that? Why do you think they traded with the Provisioner and not Dane's Company? I guess the reason is maybe they're anticipating Mountain King's return, but I guess the reason is they care more about that threat of activation than they care about the lifelink. And I guess you take the lifelink offline if you kill another dwarf, the only other dwarf. But come on, you have to assume if the opponent's playing Dane's Company and rips a Dwarven Mauler off the top, actually then you know that they have another dwarf, so that's not it. I guess they just care more about the threat of activation than the lifelink, and maybe they're anticipating that John can bring it back from the graveyard. So I actually think that's a heads up play by the opponent. Good work, Glennis. You taught me something today. Okay, Gathering of Darkness. That makes perfect sense. That's why we traded off the Rovanion Rampager. I probably should have thought of that. It is, it kind of makes sense that when they trade off their big bomb in this set, they've got to have some kind of recursion. Okay, in for 7, says the opponent. Now, we actually don't hate racing, maybe. I mean, okay, look, obviously the 7/7 is scary, and Gnashing of Teeth is not able to take care of it. Our Dwarven Mauler, but the thing is, like, we are gaining 2 every time Dane's Company connects. And we have a nice, you know, cycle of chump blockers with Mountain King's Return potentially making a 1/1. Then you bring back Dwarven Provisioner, that's another chump blocker. So I might at some point just start chumping with like Dwarven Mauler, but still keep trying to connect with the Dane's Company. Down to Goblin Town, I guess kind of helps our... I guess it helps our racing. The thing is, this is awkward because we kind of want to keep the Gnashing of Teeth, but it can't really hit anything. We really want to make a recruit token to chump their 7/7, but probably all of our cards are better. The issue with discarding the land is now we cannot play Biffer on curve, and Biffer would actually be a way of realistically trading with that 7/7. So Biffer comes down as a 6/7 essentially, right? I said the thing. I said the thing for any Gen Alphas watching. Yeah, because it would give us a story And I'm pretty sure that means that immediately the entry trigger gets doubled. I have not cast Biffer in this format, and I have barely had it cast against me, so... but just from my reading of the card. Okay, so then we get to bring back... we're probably going to play Biffer this turn, right? So we want to bring back whatever is going to be easiest to double spell with. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it just goes straight back to the battlefield. My mistake. So we want to bring back the Provisioner because it's the better card, better and more relevant. Interesting. So John says, I would rather get rid of that. Oh, man. This hand. Snowslope Hunter to pop their treasure for value. Smaug to just give inevitability, kill us in the late game and destroy our threats. Rovanian Rampager to just be a ridiculous bomb. The Lake Town thingy... what is this? It's like the something of Lake Town that is there to be a nasty death toucher. The Master of Lake Town. When a player loses life, they mill that many cards. When it dies, draw a card for each card in the graveyard with 7. For each graveyard with 7 or more cards in it. All right, but John is just racing. I mean, he's just racing. He mentioned also in his in a recording that he sent that he has like an inclination towards racing. He's very comfortable in these positions where it's kind of one race car driving against the other race car. I will note the opponent is definitely having some mana issues. So they have the 7/7, but if we can deal with the 7/7, or if we can just simply outrace it, maybe we can get ahead of their bombs. The thing that concerns me, okay, down comes a Bulg. Holy smokes. Oh, this is a huge opening, though, because the opponent doesn't know... Oh, wait, never mind. I'm sorry. We already spent the Gnashing of Teeth. I'm sorry. If we still had the Gnashing of Teeth, that would have made the army gnashable for us. But, alas, it is no longer in our hand. But yes, so we can go Biffer, trigger, make a giant Dane's Company. I don't know that I want to attack, though, because I'd probably rather attack when I force a double block. And we can do that next turn with Dwarven Provisioner activations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if we draw land, we can activate it twice. Obviously, we'd rather draw non-land. But if we draw land, we can activate the Dwarven Provisioner twice. Which still just forces 1 double block on the Dane's Company, but it makes Biffer... Biffer also needs a double block to kill it. So maybe we're in the driver's seat now. The opponent has unlocked their Master of Lake Town. So they're probably, if I'm the opponent, I'm just going to play Master of Lake Town plus Oin and just try to keep my board position as stable as possible. The opponent's effectively at 8 HP. They cannot take that many more hits. So I think they did just exactly the right thing. Now, Biffer does have an attack trigger of adding tokens, right? So... oh, that's so funny. Master of Lake Town gets to mill themselves because of down to Goblin Town draining them. That is really funny. So with Biffer plus Dwarven Provisioner, I'm thinking we can get aggressive here. Let's think. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can do 1 Dwarven Provisioner activation and play either Dory or Ori. But I'm risking trading off my Dane's Company. Oh yeah, we actually get 2 treasures. That's nice thinking by John. But it looks like he's not in an attacking mood. I'm not as accomplished a racer as I think John is. So it's a little hard for me to figure out exactly when the right moment is to attack sometimes. But I think now we have a advantage that we can press next turn, right? Because we can give everything +2/+2. Suppose Bulg blocks Dwarven Provisioner, the 5/5 blocks the 1/1. You chump the 5/5. Well, maybe they can still get some pretty good value, but I think maybe we can spread our counters to make it annoying for them. Like put 1 counter on Dory. Yeah, I think we get to attack next turn. For example, put 1 counter on Dory, 1 counter on Biffer, let's say. And then we get to double pump. Or no, yeah, we still actually get to double pump. So actually, we don't even have to put counters on Dory. We could put a counter on Dwarven Provisioner and maybe a counter on the 1/1. And then with the double pumping, we're trading with a 5/5. Really interesting that the opponent also thinks that they can attack. If I'm John, I'm probably just... either I'm taking this or I'm going to block with something inconsequential like the 1/1. There's no way that I'm making a big trade here. Maybe you just chump with the 1/1 because it's not that important. I don't think I want to take it because then I'm dead to most combinations of 2 of their creatures, a 5/5 plus almost every other card on their board. Interesting stuff. John is absolutely right to just be using the clock and thinking here. This could be the decision that determines who wins. And he decides, yeah, let's just go for it. So that master again, when it dies, so we've definitely hit, someone has hit threshold. Oh, and a gnashing of teeth. When it dies, you draw a card. Okay, that's fine. Oh, top decking Bilbo's Deadly Slice. Okay. That sounds relevant. Can we hold that for defense and attack with everything? Or do we want to just shoot the Master of Lake Town? I want to shoot the Master of Lake Town first, because if they block Dane's Company, I think we get to attack because Orvi has Vigilance and Dane's Company has Lifelink. So I think we just get to attack. Maybe I'm holding back like the single 1/1, which is probably why I would have blocked with it last turn, because I think it's destined to be a chump blocker no matter what. But I think what I want to do here is shoot the Master of Lake Town with Bilbo's Deadly Slice to get rid of the Death Toucher, attack with everything except the 1/1. Oh, we're going to do this first. What's the rationale in doing that first, rather than after you see the blocks? I'm not sure I see that. What? So why would we give them the information that that's what we're doing? I mean, I don't think it makes a big difference. Okay, we're going to attack with everything. And just shoot. So shooting the Death Toucher before blockers, totally get that. But now they get to make their block with the knowledge. Well, I guess we wouldn't have any cards in hand. I guess it doesn't matter, because we wouldn't have any cards in hand after we spend the Bilbo's Deadly Slice, and I'm saying we should spend it before combat. I guess what I'm a little scared about here is, can they... No, I don't think there's much to be scared of here. We're going to go to 15. And I don't think that they get to make advantageous blocks, because they really want to kill both Dane's Company and Dwarven Provisioner. And Dory plus Ori is representing 9 damage on them. So yeah, if I'm the opponent, I'm going to go for straight value. I'm going to block Dory with the 5/5, and I'm going to block the 2/2 with the 2/3. No, then you just die. So you have to block Dory, and then you have to chump Ori. Yeah, that makes sense. Now, they're saying that Dwarven Provisioner is more important than Dory. No, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Wow, we've really got the opponent on the back foot. I do think the opponent was too aggressive to be attacking with Bolg, right? But they thought they had a Death Toucher, and we did naturally draw Bilbo's Deadly Slice. If I were them, I would not have attacked with a Bolg, but I'm not saying that it's wrong. So now, if they didn't draw a land, they could be in... Okay, so now they can actually double spell. I was going to say they could be in a tough spot. But they do have the opportunity to double spell. If they play a Snowslope Hunter, which is just a 2/3 for 3, this is the spot where Snowslope Hunter is terrible. A few turns ago, it could have been good when they had a token, they had the Goblin Town Flunkies, or Lake Town Flunkies, whatever, the 1/1. Now, it does look like they have another maybe 2-drop or 3-drop, because it does seem like they're trying to decide what to do. They might have something really awkward, like a Bilbo's Deadly Slice. The best case scenario for the opponent is probably if they have like a Pinecone Strike or something. They're highlighting our card. It kind of makes me think maybe they do. Maybe it is Bilbo's Deadly Slice. It's so awkward for them that the Rovanian Rampager just got stuck in their hand forever. Like, that's a much better card on offense, and now it's kind of dead in their hand. Now that they got rid of Dwarven Provisioner, the 1/1, oh, it's a Stir Up Trouble. Wow. And then we top deck another removal spell. Oh, that's gross. Yeah, if I were the opponent, I do not think I would have played it that way. Then you're just dead to anything. I would have played out both creatures. It gives you redundancy, right? If you played out both creatures, you're effectively handling 2 threats if you spend the removal spell, you're only handling one threat, and the 1/1 is no longer a lethal attacker. So even if we top deck a removal spell there, we can only kill one of the 4 blockers. We have 4 attackers. They block 3 creatures down. They get tons of value. The opponent would still be behind. They would have a big problem in my line if they just played the 2 creatures instead of playing Stir Up Trouble. Because of Smaug. Because it was a Smaug. That's like the best possible removal spell for us to draw. Okay, don't hello people when you're... It's very reasonable with a box on the line to think for a few seconds about the removal. So, come on, opponent. So now I feel even... Because they did that, I feel even more comfortable saying... I think they thought for a long time and made exactly the wrong decision. I think there's absolutely no reason to do the removal instead of playing the 2 creatures. And then they were snotty to their opponent for thinking in a crucial moment. So I hope they learned their lesson. Play better and be nicer. But okay, we're 4-0, and we're actually rolling along the way to a box. This is this is like going very nicely. We almost got our full gems back. We got 7,200 gems back and only 8,000 gem entry. So basically made everything back. Now this hand is super awkward. Still kind of feeling like maybe that 6/4/4 mana base could use some tweaking, but we haven't gotten punished for it pretty much at all so far. Even that gnashing of teeth last game, or what's that last game that got stuck in our hand, got unstuck because we just natural drew a swamp. So there was one Bilbo's Deadly Slice that got stuck for a while. That's the only thing, but it didn't even really punish us. This is the first time that the mana base is really kind of proving to be a bit of an issue. But we kept it all right, and we're just gonna, we're just gonna trust in the whatever. We might have like 5 or 6 white sources, six white sources maybe. Okay, so we're gonna go Goblin Plate Mail, but then we're kind of out of juice. So now if we draw planes, we're feeling really good. If we don't draw planes, then I'm not so sure. Yeah, because we don't even have a Gathering of Darkness target. I'm not sure I would have kept this hand, I will say. I'm skeptical because, like, if you have 9 planes and some scrying, then it's one thing, but we don't, right? So now you're kind of hoping, what's your chance of drawing a planes? It's like 1 in 5 each turn or something, getting very slightly higher each turn. Yeah, and then a Crude Bent Blade is gonna kind of shut us down. So now we're just praying for the top of our deck to be kind to us. Yes, you can just play that as a 3/3 for 4. And honestly, in this spot, I think it's not ridiculous to do that. You're giving up possible future value for sure, but what's the most realistic path to this actually being the 2-for-1 that it's supposed to be? We would have to like play an Ori and have it die, draw land, draw planes, and to Celebrate the Mountain King or something. So yeah, I fully agree with this. Just 3/3 for 4, just stay in the game. I would do it. I would absolutely do it. I just am so worried against like this Jund deck where they already have a 2/2 and an equipment that they can stick on for 2, and we're already down to essentially 15 if they want us to be. This just means that they have another big play to get even further ahead. A looping Crude Bent Blade. This sealed special. Yeah. So, and now it's like, now we probably really want to have that 3/3, right? So that we can block the Mirkwood Nurturer. Sorry, it wasn't draw a planes and draw Celebrate Mountain King. We would need to draw a planes and cast Celebrate the Mountain King, pitch the Ori, and then Gathering of Darkness it. That's maybe the best path. Okay, so this makes sense. We can Stir Up Trouble. This makes sense. If we'd wanted to be really fancy, we could have equipped it to the Dwarven Mauler for 2, then Stirred Up Trouble, sacrificing it. So now the Plate Mail is only going to hit the Dwarven Mauler, and we've managed to retain some value. So if we draw planes, we're not so far behind. They're going to kill our Dwarven Mauler. I assume with the remaining 2 mana, they're going to suit up their Front Porch Sentries. Maybe they have another 2-drop, but suit up their Front Porch Sentries and attack, putting us to 12. But now we get to play Gathering of Darkness. Oh, so close to going Bothersome Noisemaker into Gathering. I would really want to use my mana here and develop my board. Gathering of Darkness, play the Dwarven Mauler. Yeah. That's the way to go. That's right. If you play Bothersome Noisemaker, now you're giving up just way too much board presence and participation in the game just for possible future value. Okay, so now we just kind of hope that the opponent doesn't have, I mean, like, I don't know if they have like land Gandalf Sparkstarter or something. That, you know, there are so many ways, or even just like a Pinecone Strike, although they haven't appeared to have that so far. There are just so many ways that they could kind of shut this game down. So we just kind of have to hope that the opponent plays it cool. Bolg of the North. If we can draw a Plains, I'm actually not feeling bad. If we can draw Plains right now, we can go Bothersome Noisemaker into Celebrate, pitch something, get rid of the Bolg. Gnashing of Teeth. That's actually no. Play the Bothersome Noisemaker first. Oh, no, he realized. Oh, too bad. Okay, well, it's, you know, this happens, right? It's exciting to draw the removal spell that you need exactly when you need it. And I do this all the time as well. So John is just, and this is very smart. My read of what's happening right now is John is just taking a moment, like realizing what happened, taking a moment, and just kind of mentally resetting. When you make a mistake in a high stakes game, do not fixate on it. Do not beat yourself up about it. I do this all the time. I make a mistake and then I just like keep in a loop thinking about the mistake. Like, oh, if I hadn't done that, I would have X, Y, and Z advantage. I would be like, you know, in this way better position, etc., etc. Maybe I would have caught up. Maybe I would have blah, blah, blah. We can pop our land. Yeah. It does mean that if we draw Biffer, we can't play it, or Farther from Smaug, or our Gandalf Sparkstarter. By the way, I think playing the other Gandalf Sparkstarter would be good here. Like, this is an example of why I would be playing it, because that would have been 2 great draws off the top. But anyways, yeah, you really gain some life. That's actually awesome. So we can actually do a double block against the menace creature if they don't have a removal spell, because we get a 1/1. We could even attack with the Bothersome Noisemaker here, but I wouldn't be doing that, because then you're dead to a single removal spell. But anyways, yeah, when you make a mistake, just try to stop thinking about it. Okay, good thing we didn't attack, because we would just be straight up dead. Oh no, they have another removal. Oh, they had a Pinecone Strike, or they found one. Oh, brutal. That mistake did not matter. The thing that I think John could have changed to win this game is the mana, right? It's the fact that we had these 2 white cards stuck in our hand. I think going lower on that, I don't want to harp on this, but going lower on that white splash and just accepting a little bit of a compromise in card quality. I mean, even like centering more on red, playing Kíli does not need to come down on turn 2. So playing like Kíli, the Dalin's Company or whatever, there are 2 like super strong dwarf cards that touch white, and Celebrate the Mountain King. That's the extent of the white that I would play in this deck. And then I would be playing Gandalf Sparkstarter. I would be playing the Golem the Abandons, and just put it more in the Rakdos space, and then treat white as more of a splash. So the fact that we had like Celebrate the Mountain King and another white card stuck in our hand kind of meant that we didn't have the resources to keep up with the opponent. And then if they're going 1-for-1 on material and just shooting our stuff down, then that can turn a neck-and-neck racing situation into just a lost game. But okay, 4 wins, 1 loss. We basically have our gems back. This is still the most successful Splash Champs video that we have seen. So let's just try to up that record. Can a Splash Champ net some gems? We're all extremely proud of John for getting this far, especially since he said he's been drafting for like 2 years or something, and was playing Commander before that. That and has not like been super, you know, competitive about or invested in draft for that long. Like, he's just starting to get competitive about it. That's super impressive, right? To get your gems back on an Arena Direct. 4 wins is like double the average number of wins in an event with 2 wins, 2 losses, and every game produces a loss. Okay, so the opponent firing off this Beaufort, just absolutely charging out of the gate with the Dream Dwarf curve out. The one thing to note is they are stuck on white mana. So we'll see if that turns out to matter for the opponent. If they're stuck on 3 lands and missing a color, that definitely gives us a big chance to catch up. I'm worried about a removal spell here, but I do agree that at 10 HP, we have to just be blocking. Should we be blocking the 4/3? That's the question I'm asking myself. Oh, the Arkenstone. Fetching a Kíli off of the Arkenstone. Okay, I hope this person, if they beat John, I hope they're on their way to a box, because this is just upsetting. And they're mana screwed. This is what they're doing when they're mana screwed. And whiffing on Dane's company is the ultimate insult for us. So John was extremely correct to, I guess, hold the land and see what we needed. After we pull something off of Dane's company, but unfortunately we didn't pull anything, so now the best that we can do is just Thor's map. Now the opponent is still stuck, right? So maybe there's a world where we can catch up. I mean, they are crashing in for 6 damage. Oh, this is a little bit sad, but okay. A plan would look something like play my Golem. So gain the 2 life off of Golem. Bringing something from the graveyard to the hand. Don't we really want the life gain? Oh, maybe he's playing the long game a little bit. Right, so we can still get the life gain. And then having access to a dwarf means that we can lifelink our Dane's company. So I think we have to put... I think we're probably double blocking next turn, right? Wow, the opponent just had such a fast start. That's brutal. On mono white 3 mana. Yeah, so maybe we're actually losing both of our creatures next turn. If we had Golem, would it be any better? No, because you can't play Golem and then put the counter on Golem. If only. What if the opponent's just playing a mono white deck? That would be so sick. But it doesn't look like it. It actually does look like they're having some awkwardness. Like, I'm not sure that on 3 your ideal situation is adventuring your Arkenstone, but it's not too awkward when you have a turn 4 dwarf and short sword draw card. Yeah, this is a little bit rough. In for 7, and now we can't even double block. Yeah, because I got to re-equip it off of Kíli. I definitely did not see that coming. And the Gandalf Spark Starter is not so helpful. I guess what we can do is we can play the Spark Starter, shoot the Kíli for 2, and shoot the opponent for 1, and then we can double block Ori. The problem is there are many problems, but one problem is if they get to play Arkenstone, their Ori is going to become an 8/8. That just takes them having 1 land of any color, any one untapped land. Okay, we do get a lifelinking Dane's company. So John is doing a fantastic job of just keeping his cool, staying in the game, and just trying to develop a clean board state. But yeah, the opponent is just okay. They found their second color. Those are cool emotes. Okay, Kíli is gonna draw another card. Yeah, the thing is, like, you're only gonna be so mana screwed if you have a Kíli. These are just cards that John did not see in his pool, right? If he'd seen like some biffers or whatever the one drop lifelinker, is that another biffer? No, it's not biffer. Is it Bofer? I'm sorry, biffer and Bofer. It's Bofer. So if John had just seen some of these, I mean, maybe that red-white deck would have just been crushingly good and we would have gotten to curve out with it. The opponent's pondering whether they want to make a trade of their 7/7. I think this makes a lot of sense from the opponent's perspective. Pinecone Strike the Golem. Pinecone Striking Golem is interesting because it lets us continue to have a lifelinker, so this means that we can double block the 3/4. Not sure I agree with that. I think I would have Pinecone Strike the Dane's company, right? This lets us survive the attack. The opponent's kind of in a position where it's almost hard to play correctly because you're so far ahead and you're having to like dream up scenarios of like, how could I fall back behind? But I think that was a minor inaccuracy. Okay, so we get to kill the Kíli, although it did already replace itself like 3 times over, and pop the opponent for 1. I think there's nothing else to do, right? Is he thinking maybe about should he kill Nori so that he can double block the Ori? Oh yeah, that damage allocation was very dangerous. It almost didn't even kill Kíli. But no, I definitely think you kill Kíli, partly because it actually does equal more damage because you can just equip the Dwarven Short Sword if you have it out. And Nori gives itself first strike, and both of them are lethal attackers. Yeah, I think we're in concession territory. I mean, yeah, you can't even double block the Ori and take it down. Nice deck. Yeah, this was a tough turnaround. I mean, we were 4-0 and cruising to victory. Basically, what happened this game? I mean, last game was our mana didn't cooperate. This game was really a story. Yeah, we're dead on board, right? I mean, I guess we can, what we have to do is play Ori, loot, and see if we can find another blocker. This would be the turnaround of the century if that works out. But yeah, this game was just the opponent having an absolutely grotesque curve out. And yeah, that's going to be game. That's going to be game. Yeah. All right, they celebrate the Mountain King, our last card. GG. Swing in. And it's over. Rats. Well, it's a heartbreaker, but 4 wins is actually better than any Splash Champ has yet done. So a big congratulations to John for that result, basically making his gems back. I'm going to play for you John's recap on how he feels after the run, and then I'm just going to give my one wrap-up takeaway message.
Alrighty, so 4-2, not my worst. Certainly not quite my best, but I think I did pretty well. Looking back on the pool, I think I do have maybe a couple do-nothing cards in the deck. I really am not sure if I'm playing enough dwarves for Danes to be that great. It's nice that it's a lifelinker, especially in the race, but not fantastic. Was really impressed with seeing Smaug. Just sometimes deal 5 is enough, and that makes him pretty good. I don't know how much I'll be casting him for 7, but sometimes 7 mana 5/5 with flying is great. I did notice in my first few games, I feel like I played pretty optimally, and then the last like 2, maybe 3 games, there was a couple misplays that were, in hindsight, really obvious. The first one might not have mattered. It was in the, I believe it was the 5th game. I just kind of like snap remove something before playing the Noisemaker. So definitely missed out on value there. I'm not sure if it would have mattered knowing that they had 3 kill spells in their hand, and they had a menace creature, but it definitely would have taken a little bit of pressure off me to block. So maybe I could have done more there. But I really do think this was a pretty logical pool given what I had. Would I have changed anything, or do I regret going these colors? I don't think so. Only things I might have thought about reconsidering is I may have too much top end. Like, there was definitely some times where I just didn't have a 2-drop. Or, like, my 2-drop was the Goblin Plate Mail, which is good. But, like, you'd rather be able to, one, do something with the Plate Mail and then put it onto something better. And, like, if I didn't have Kíli, like, most of my games were just like, did I have Kíli? If I don't have Kíli, I don't really have a way to get through my deck. And I will often take a whole turn off. And if you're on the draw and you pass turn 1 and you pass turn 2, you're probably taking, like, 3 to 5 damage. Which is pretty crazy. I'm definitely not used to that in the format, so it'll be a very interesting format to see. I'm seeing a lot of Rakdos. I'm not seeing a lot of the recruit decks. Seeing some of the Golgari decks for sure. But other than that, those are like the main. People want to be in that Jund arena. I think my second to last game, I believe, or maybe it was the last one, I don't remember. I took a very questionable mulligan. You can probably see me pondering it. Not that I took it. I didn't take the mulligan. I kind of tried to force it with only Rakdos in hand and 2 white cards in my hand. Definitely not going to do that again. I don't think it was worth hoping to draw a white source when you have 2 cards that are dead if you don't draw that white source. Maybe I could take a risk like that if I had more ways to fetch up a basic, but just like hoping I find Thor's Map or hoping I find a dual land, that was kind of out of character for me. I don't know why I kept that mulligan. So in hindsight, maybe taking a breather after a loss could be good. A lot of my game comes down to my mental game. And just get better cards next time, right? So anyways, thanks so much for watching. I look forward to watching the video back and seeing what people had to say. And I will definitely be reading the comments as well. So any advice is very much appreciated. Try to be nice. But other than that, thank you so much. And have a great rest of your day.
So I completely agree with John's points. I think he singled out the important moments in the 2 games that were lost. I think I just want to add in 2 pieces of feedback, not even necessarily directly for John, just like food for thought for anyone watching. The first is that I do think this illustrates the danger of having your mana so evenly spread across 3 different colors. If you break down like the number of white sources, we had 4, 5, 6, 7 if you count Thrower's Map, but basically 6 for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards that require white. In black, we had 6, 7 natural black sources plus a Thrower's Map if you count that, for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards that require black, 2 more that can be cast with black. And 2 of those are double pipped, which were the ones that really were getting stuck in our hand a few times. And then we have 4, 5, 6, 7, potentially 8 red sources. And actually, maybe we should have gone 1 higher on black and 1 lower on red, because we don't even have that many red cards. But then you break down the cards, like when do you want to be playing Dwarven Mauler? Always on turn 1. When do you want to be playing Ravening Warg? Always on turn 2. When do you want to be playing Ori, Keeper of Songs? Always on turn 3, right? So we're kind of demanding that our mana work perfectly in order for our deck to achieve the minimum needed for our cards to be functional. In 4 of the games, that did happen. And the last game was kind of not ours to lose. The opponent was just doing their own solitaire thing. But the second last game, well, I think was lost because of the mana base. So the just huge take-home message, the closer you are to a 9-8 mana base, the happier you are. Or even better, 8-8 with a dual land, something like that. Anytime you're ticking up above having 3 or 4 of 2 different colors of lands and decreasing your main color down past from 9 down to 8 all the way down to 7 pips, you're at risk of seriously dropping like at least 1 game just to mana. And the other point that goes along with that is I think about just plan. The plan of this deck is it kind of turns into a mid-range deck. It looks like it has a lot of 2 drops, but because you can't expect to always have all of your mana under your feet on turn 2, most of those 2 drops are shifting into things that realistically get played on turn 3 or on turn 4. If we go back and watch some of those games, even the ones that John was winning handily, he was very often not using a pip of mana. Like I remember there was one moment where we had a Dwarven Mauler in our hand and an untapped Swamp because our only mana had just been used to play something else, our only red mana. So it just leads to these little inefficiencies that compound in a way that you don't really notice. It turns Dwarven Mauler sometimes from like a 1-drop or a thing that you could double spell with on turn 3 along with a 2-drop into being something you have to wait until turn 4 or turn 5 to play. And by turn 5, your 2/1 Dwarven Mauler is no longer good. So I think together with thinking about the mana base is thinking about what is the game plan of the deck. It looks just looking at the curve like it's a beat down aggro deck. But when you think about the mana and you think about the different things that the deck is trying to do, you start to see that maybe it's actually much more of a mid-range deck that's going to play like a step behind most aggro decks. So if we had focused really hard on achieving the plan of an aggro deck, maybe putting in Owing the Braves, the Goblin Town Flunkies, the Ragged Short Spear, the Gandalf Sparkstarter, cutting some of the white, or maybe cutting some of the black, then, maybe we even would have won that last game. The opponent was really fast and they had some top quality bombs. I hear people talk, but if we'd been really fast, maybe we could have kept up with them. I hear people talk a lot about removal, like making sure that decks have enough removal. To me, it's way more important to make sure that the deck has a plan. If my plan is to be super aggressive and beat down, then maybe I actually don't need all of those removal spells, the Bilbo's Deadly Slice and the Gnashing of Teeth, because maybe I can just kill the opponent before they can kill me. So if I have a super tuned, focused aggro deck, it might not need more than 1 or 2 pieces of spot removal. If, on the other hand, I have a control deck or a slow mid-range deck, yeah, I'm going to need removal because I'm trying to play I'm going to need a lot of removal because I'm trying to play a long game where the opponent is inevitably going to find some cards that I'm going to have to kill if I want to win. So all that to say, I think ask yourself, even before asking, do I have enough removal? Am I checking the boxes of like, do I have creatures? Do I have removal? Do I have curve? Ask yourself, what is my plan for winning and what am I trying to achieve? To me, this deck is maybe kind of trying to do 2 different things. Like Kíli, the Resourceful and Bothersome Noisemaker to a certain extent, and Dane, they're trying to do one thing. And the Dwarven Mauler as well. But then to some extent, I would say like the black cards are kind of trying to do something different. Ravening Warg, Golem, Silence Linker, Gathering of Darkness are kind of pushing in a different direction of a more mid-range high power plan, as opposed to just a Dwarves equipment plan. So kind of stapling those 2 things together might end up being worse than if you just focus on one of those 2 plans and achieve it, even if you don't have all the cards to make it perfect. So all of that to say, for those 2 reasons, I think I would have ended up in either I think I would have ended up in black-red, maybe with a very small white splash. Maybe I'm splashing just Kíli, although with only the Goblin Plate Mills, that's probably not worth it. It is hard to leave Kíli on the sideboard, so maybe I would have ended up in red-white, actually. Yeah, I probably would have ended up in red-white. But with all of that said, you know, this is all obviously constructive suggestions only, not even really criticism, just food for thought. And John did a absolutely phenomenal job. Someone who has not been drafting for that long. I think he said his best result is 5 wins in one of these events. 4 wins is right up there. That is a superb result. He basically got his gems back, and that is actually the best result that we have seen so far on Splash Champs. So a huge congratulations to John for a really fantastic showing. He's absolutely right that he played super tight. He taught me some things about racing. He clearly has a better feel for that and like the give and take of when to attack and when to hold back for blocks than I had in a lot of those moments. So congratulations, Sean, on making your gems back. Unfortunately, this does mean that we have to update our box counter to be 0 wins out of 6, but I know for sure the next person will get them. So we're going to be back with another Splash Champs tomorrow. If you want to participate in Splash Champs in this Arena Direct, first come, first serve. There is 1 slot left. DM me on Discord. In the future, if you want to learn before there's only 1 slot left, join as a channel member and you'll get the early bird announcements. Until tomorrow, have tons of fun playing Magic and don't be afraid to do a modest splash.